Just want to do a video on what makes the FX6 so good. A lot of people think it's the gallons per hour. That does have its own thing, but this is the real reason. So every FX6, all the FX models, water goes down this little tube, goes all the way out and around the edges and through all these filters and then up and over and down the middle. Now these things claim like 870 or something like that gallons per hour, but after you put everything in it, it's nowhere near that. It's like you might as well cut it in half. But that's doesn't matter. What does matter is all that gallons per hour is going around the edge of this thing all the way up the sides and slowing way down because it's going through such a large surface. Now all that waste and all that gallons per hour is going through this many square inches of sponge. And everybody thinks this sponge is mechanical media. No, it's biological because of the pore size. This size pore, or even larger size pores, is biological. Particles go right through it. Even the bigger stuff works its way into it. That's why when you clean an FX6, all the crud isn't on the outside of your thing, it's all the way deep into it. An actual mechanical sponge like this one is what catches everything. Now as the filter ages, it'll get a biofilm. It's that gooey, slimy stuff that builds up. This is just like oiling a filter on an ATV. It catches the particles. So as this gets its biofilm, it catches more and more stuff, smaller and smaller particles. This will clog less often. After I've put on a new filter, or I've cleaned a filter, I open it up once a month to clean this, because this is the first thing that clogs. After about 3 months, it'll be about every month and a half. About 6 months, you go every 2 months without this clogging. But back to the real point, how much square inch of sponge the flow is going through. This is the typical size of a sponge and the thickness. Now, let's say you're pushing 300 gallons per hour through this little sponge. Crud is just blowing through it. And the water is still traveling at a higher velocity because it's going through a smaller area. Now this one, say you're pushing 450 gallons per hour. It's moving slowly because it's traveling through all that square inches. This does more biological filtering than anything you stick down in the middle of this. Doesn't matter what you put in there. Biohome, Matrix, the Eheim, the cheap little ceramic rings, whatever. It doesn't matter. This does more than that. So if you have your filtration right, you have the proper amount of filtration for the load on your tank. It doesn't matter how big your tank is. Like this tank has 2 of these FX6s, a Sun 304B, a large sponge filter, an internal filter, and I've got anoxic filtration. This has been going for about 9 months. Oh, sorry, my camera work is crap. And look at this. I've got enough biological media that the bacteria load is keeping up with the load in the tank. It's keeping itself clean. But that doesn't necessarily mean your water's clean. As all this stuff breaks down, the bacteria, not just nitrifying, there's bacteria that just breaks down waste. As stuff gets broken down smaller and smaller, it dissolves into your water column. Doesn't matter what your nitrate level is. You could have 5 parts per million nitrate. It doesn't mean your water's clean. The only way to have clean water is to change it. There's a lot of people that say you should have a natural aquarium. It's crap. If you want a stale pond looking tank, do it like that. But still, this is off topic. That is why an FX6 is so good. The sheer volume of area that's filtering the water. The water has a chance to slow down and the sponge can do its job. This, it does some, but even on the 304B, it's moving like 300 gallons per hour after being filled with media. Do you think that's really doing much? No. Biologically, mechanically, crap. Excellent. Anyways, a lot of people think it's just because of how much stuff you can stuff in the middle. That's crap, don't believe them. The best thing you can do with this thing is fill it with sponge, top to bottom. This PPI, 30 PPI, and it'd be the best it could be. Nothing can beat this. Nothing on the market can touch this. Just because of this one simple fact. The sheer volume of sponge that the water passes through. Let's say you had the same cubic inches of sponge, but the sponge was this wide, but tall enough that it made up the same cubic inches as all that. It would still be crap. That first couple all that water volume is trying to make it through that little sponge. And you're packing so much stuff into that sponge right there. It's gonna plug up. It's not gonna be able to do its job. Anyways, FX6 is the best. That's it.